this thing will save you from breaking your back. The back of the kafirs breaks with the burden of life. You know, so much accidents happen, losses in business, so many things. They kill themselves, they commit suicide because they cannot bear the burden of life. What Holy Quran, the guidance in the Holy Quran does, it takes away the burden of life. It makes it very light. So walk, run towards Allah. But here, Allah has taken an initiative. He has come to you. He has come to you, and you should be happy and make happiness. Remain happy whole of your life. What Allah is saying here, He is preparing you so that you can remain a solid rock. Nothing shakes you. Understand? What kills other people with burden of life, He says, no calamity, distress reaches you in this world, in your own self, or on your properties, or on your business, fi anfusikum, nafs me, in your own self, illa fi kitabin min qabla an tabraha. Save that it is written, kitabin, it is written before He created lives. Before He created His word, before you came into this word, it was written that Mr. Rashid or Mr. Khalid or Mr. Muhay, he will be, meet this calamity and distress. It is written, so Allah says. Allah says, Inna zalik Allah, you see, it's very easy for it. Why Allah says, Lakhila, Tasu ala ma fatakum? Why Allah is informing you? He is informing you that you do not break your back for the grief. He says, He is telling you, so that you must believe that it was written before you were born. It has been decided by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for you before you were born. So don't grieve. Why should you grieve? When my Allah had decided this thing, that this thing should reach me, or this beloved person of mine, family, go back to Allah, or this destruction take place, I say, Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. Am I right?
الأرض مداد ليكن يومك للشعب ودادا ليكن ربك للأرض مداد للأرض مداد قلم أنت فكم عبرت عنها وبنيت للشعب مراد للشعب مراد أنت يا ملهم شعب أن يبروا عشت كم حققت للشعب مراد للشعب مراد.
I think the term futuwwa or the concept of futuwwa is something which cries out for practice. And it requires from each and every single one of us some type of departure. When we look at the beauty of the language that we've been given as Muslims, the language, it's an eternal language, the language of the people of paradise, the Arabic language. It can help us to understand concepts. And the word futuwwa in the Arabic language, if you look at the triliteral roots of it, the fa and the ta and the waw, which is after it, is that the fa and the ta indicate in this language, which ultimately is a language of duality, it indicates some type of departure. We look at the words like fataha, or we look at the words like fataha. These words indicate some type of departure from something, leaving something behind. كان السماوات والأرض رتقا ففتقناهما. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that the heavens and the earth were clustered together and we rendered it asunder. Like a fath, an opening, leaving behind being vanquished. And likewise futuwwa, youthful chivalry. It's leaving something behind, leaving adolescence behind, leaving play and folly behind. And it's one of the things that we have to begin to understand in order to anchor our religion in a time that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, this is not the time of la'ib, wallahu, and hayat dunya, the pleasures of this world, the nature of this world is merely entertainment and sport. Then where is it? There's the age of entertainment and sport. And one of the unfortunate things that we have Muslims, that we fell into the ways of those who preceded us. And likewise we become a people of what? Of entertainment and sport. And again, just the rujula, speaking about this issue of manhood, of rujula, it's also a khitab for women also. This is an address also to our dear sisters. And I think our sisters is a beautiful poem that one of the people here made mention, and it's something that we should listen to. The poetry, there's asrar in poetry, secrets deposited in poetry, especially the poetry of the Arabs. And there was a woman who had a nice poem which has always resonated with me the first time I read it, because it resonated to my heart like that statement of Khalid wa Muhammada. She said, Malil Jimali Meshuha wa Ida Ajandalan تحملها أم حديدة أم صرفاها باردا شديدة أم الرجال جث من قعودة. She said, it's a powerful poem, a woman who was imprisoned. And as we had Uthman mentioned today, that many of our women are imprisoned, and they speak sometimes not with the tongue, the lisan, the physical tongue, but what with the ulama call the lisan al-hal, the tongue of their states. It's silent, but people of hearts can walk and hear the tongue of states. And she says, Malil Jimal Meshuha Wa'ida. What is wrong with the camels? She's imprisoned and she's seeking for that valiant knight to come and rescue her from her oppressed state that she has been deposited in. Malil Jimal Meshuha Wa'ida. What is wrong with the camels? Meshuha Wa'ida. Why are they dragging their feet? Why are they dragging their feet? Ajandalan yahmilna am hadida. Are they carrying some type of heavy objects that makes their feet sink, bury in the sand? Am sarafaha baridan shadida. Or maybe it's the cold, the weather, the elements that has turned the camels away from the place that they need to be, which is with me to rescue me from the oppressive state that I'm in. That's husn al-dhan. She's having a good opinion of the camels. But unfortunately, she does not have a good opinion of men. Amir Rijal Juffa men Qu'uda. She says, or are men, statues, sitting, doing nothing in the hour of need. And that's something that calls out to each and every single one of us as men. And men is not necessarily كانت عائشة رجلا. That's in the biographies of Aisha. Aisha was a rajul, a man. That's how Aisha was described. So it's not biological, but here we're talking about maqamat, stations. And stations are lofty things. They're things that don't leave, they're not fleeting. They're not like ahwal, states that are fleeting, can leave the individual. But it's when a human being becomes anchored in a reality. Anchored in a reality. What's our reality? Oh, chivalrous ones, huh? You see, that's what the age needs. And we have an individual, and that's why we call out Wa Muhammada. We have an individual that if you want to understand qualities, because the discourse on Futuwwa is ultimately a discourse on qualities and attributes, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala imprinted his pre-eternal, post-eternal attributes in a being, a created being, a lofty being, and his name is Muhammad. Salawatullah wa salamu alayhi. And when we want to understand qualities, we have to look at the possessor of qualities, salawatullah wa salamu alayhi. That we want to talk about chivalry and its jami'. It is something which is what comprehensive in nature. I mean, some people speak about qualities having female qualities or having male qualities, and the qualities that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala imprints in creation. The ulama will use the word jamaliya wal jalaliya, majestic and beautiful qualities or attributes. And majesty is something ordinarily that is related to the masculine side of the world of duality, and Jamal or beauty is something that is related to the feminine side of things. But the beautiful thing about Futuwwa is that Futuwwa is the coming together of these opposites to produce a different type of attribute that the ulama called Kamaliya, attributes of perfection. And it needs the women as well as it needs the men. There's a